Hello boys and girls of grade 6. Today, as we continue with social studies, this is our final lesson on the family. We're looking specifically at the people who came. In our 2 previous lessons, we examined the people who came, the Amerindians, the Europeans, the Africans, and the Portuguese. In this lesson, which is our final lesson about the people who came, we will examine the East Indians and the Chinese. The East Indians and the Chinese. So let's get on with it. The East Indians were the 5th ethnic group to arrive in British Guyana. They came from India, which is found in the continent of Asia. The first group of East Indians came from the hilly districts of Chota, Nagpur, Burdwan, and Bankura, which were all close to Calcutta. They were called East Indians because they came from the eastern side of the world. The East Indians came to Guyana by ships or vessels, and these are outstanding in our history, the Whitby and Hesperus. The Whitby sailed from India on January 13, 1838 with 249 immigrants. The Whitby sailed across the Indian Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean before arriving in British Guyana. The Hesperus also would have sailed from Calcutta on January 29, 1838. And so it sailed across the Indian Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean before arriving in British Guyana on May 5. So those 2 ships are very important to the Guyanese history. Of course, as the ships journeyed, the East Indians encountered difficulties. Some of the difficulties they endured during the journey are overcrowded ships. And so because of overcrowding, some of the immigrants became sick. Some of them died because there was a shortage of medicine and medical supplies. There was also a shortage of food. Why were they brought to British Guyana? The East Indians came to work on the sugar plantations as indentured immigrants or servants. That simply meant that they signed an agreement to work on the plantation for a period of 5 years. They were given food or ration. They were given lodging, clothing, wages for their labor, and medical supplies. So, the East Indians were brought specifically to work as indentured servants. Who brought them here? The Europeans did, to work on their plantations. What happened on the plantations as the East Indians worked? Life was very difficult for both young and old. They worked for long hours, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Children between the ages of 5 to 10 had to work in the Creole gang. The East Indians' homes were called lodges. East Indians were free to return to India after the 5-year period ended. They had to, 1, clear drains and trenches on the plantations. They had to carry water to the cane cutters. They also had to put manure or mold on young sugar cane plants. And they had to take care of animals. Those who stayed after indentureship were given land in exchange for their passage. The East Indians used the land to build homes and places of worship. The land development schemes were set up by the government to encourage East Indians to stay. Rice was a major crop grown on the farm. They were the first to develop the rice industry because rice was planted on a large scale. There were many strikes and disturbances on the sugar plantations during the Indian indentureship. many East Indians lost their lives. As a matter of fact, there was the Enmore martyrs who lost their lives as a result of strikes and disturbances on the sugar plantations. Some strikes also took place at Devonshire Castle, which was in September of 1872. There was also another strike at Plantation Friends in Berbice on May 6, 1903. Also, Plantation Lusignan, there was another strike or another disturbance. And so the East Indians fought for their rights and made sure that what they came to work for under the period of indentureship was maintained. As a result of those who were martyred at Enmore, a monument was erected in remembrance of those 5 sugar workers. And so standing tall today at Enmore is the Enmore Martyrs Monument. The names of those martyrs are Suraj Bali, Rambaran, Lalabaji, Hari, and Puran. Like the other groups that came to Guyana, the East Indians contributed to the Guyanese society. Yes, they contributed food, and some of those are dal and rice, roti and curry, dal puri, and sweetmeats. Sweetmeats like mitai and pulaury and jalebi. They also contributed clothing like sari and orni and shalwars and kurtas that East Indians wear to special functions that they have. Some of the festivals are Eid al-Adha, Eid al-Fitr, Yom al-Nabi, Pagwa, and Diwali that the East Indians celebrate. Of course, there are other ethnic groups who participate in these festivals, but they were introduced by the East Indians. Some of their jewelry that they contributed to the Guyanese society are bracelets, bangles, brooches, anklets, and finger rings. Musical instruments are also a part of their contributions: sitars, mandolins, and the tassa. Some of their dances are the Kathak, Nagara, and Odissi. So the East Indians would have made their contributions as well to the Guyanese society. So this has brought us to the end of what the East Indians did in Guyana. Next, we will examine the Chinese. The Chinese came from the continent of Asia. The first batch of Chinese immigrants came to Guyana on January 12, 1853. The ships which brought the Chinese to Guyana were Lord Elgin, the Glentana, and Samuel Buddington. The Chinese came to work on the sugar plantations as indentured immigrants. Of course, yes, the Europeans brought them here. Some of the sugar estates where the Chinese were sent to work were Blankenberg, Podroin, Union, Schoonard, Stewartville, Anna Regina, Harlem, and Anna Katerina. The Chinese were sent to those plantations by the Europeans. Of course, they toiled for the period of indentureship, and after that, they were free to leave the plantations. The Chinese contributed to the Guyanese society. Yes, they did. They contributed food, clothing, and some of their festivals, musical instruments. What are some of the food that the Chinese contributed to the Guyanese society? Fried rice, wonton soup, chop suey, sweet and sour relishes, and chow mein. Yes, those are some of the food that the Chinese contributed to the Guyanese society. Some of the clothing they contributed are tunics, sarongs, and cheong sams. Their festivals. Every year there is the celebration of the Chinese New Year in January on the 12th. Each year is named after an animal. Their musical instrument, cymbals. They have the dance, for example, the dragon dance, craft, embroidery. And so the Chinese would have made their contributions to the Guyanese society. So the Chinese would have also contributed to restaurants, which we call commonly sometimes cook shops. So the Chinese would have started the restaurant business in Guyana after the period of indentureship. They would have also started the charcoal industry. So they would have contributed to the economy in a meaningful way. So boys and girls, this has brought us to the end of our lesson on the people who came. We would have examined in our first lesson the Amerindians and the Europeans. In our second lesson, we focused on the Africans and the Portuguese. And this, our final lesson, we focused on the East Indians and the Chinese. On your own, you can collect pictures of craft items that the Chinese have introduced to the Guyanese society. You can also collect pictures of their food. For the East Indians, you can write the list of names of places where the East Indians settled. So boys and girls, have fun as you explore with the information about the people who came. Until next time, see you boys and girls.